Good evening, YouTube. Hello. How is everyone doing? It's me, Scott, Bigfoot Explorer. We have
Christy Sci-Fi
and Patrick Vaughn from North Louisiana. Welcome, friends, fans, subs. How do we get started here? It's been so long. Let's see who's in there. We're gonna do the old style just for a little while because it's been so long. We got Mr. Carl Price. Hello, Carl. How you doing, my man? Thanks for the kind words. Appreciate that. We got
Brian.
Robert D's in there.
Brian McSurdy.
We got Brian McSurdy right here. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Robert D, who's been waiting patiently. I know a lot of y'all have been waiting patiently. Want to apologize for being so long. The first week out. Here's Mr. Outdoorsman. How you doing this evening? Countdown has ended and we are live. We got Mr. Blackfire.
We got Ann. Hello, Ann.
Ann in there.
We got Miss Martha Turner, Mama Martha.
Let's see. Michael Wright said, Bigfoot Explorer, so great to be back with you live in the house and on the brand new Bluetooth speaker. So, hey, Scott, Sci-Fi, Patrick, great film, Expedition. Thank you. A lot of hard work went into editing almost 4 full days of Expedition time.
Hey, Gordo's in there and One-Eyed Matt's in there with the wooden leg.
Mad Matt.
And Gordo. Let's Xplorer.
Still Crazy Chris.
Yeah.
David Yerby.
United Kingdom.
Hey,
all
the way from across the pond. Thanks for joining us this evening. Fletch Explorers. Greetings. Thank you for coming in. We got Claude Neal in there. We got some Facebook users. Real quick, for those of you who use StreamYard as your streaming platform, if you haven't noticed yet, they have introduced multi-streaming. And what that is you can set up several destinations. YouTube is a destination. Facebook is a destination. Periscope is a destination. There's a few other obscure ones. So I wanted to try it. So we are actually, the good thing about the Facebook stream is that you can set it up for a group, not just your Facebook page, but for a group. So right now, those of you who are on Bigfoot Explorer Facebook group, welcome. Thank you. We will see your comments just as if we see the comments in the YouTube chat.
He's in the house. Carry on a Bigfoot Odyssey.
Where's he at?
He is
all the way at the bottom.
All the way at the bottom.
Yeah.
There he is.
Thanks, Carrie.
They got Jamie,
Matt Niven.
Dee's in the house.
Where's Dee at?
Lady in the woods. Hello,
thanks,
lady.
Dee.
Keep going. There's Margaret. Andy going fishing.
Yes.
John, look, John's in the house.
Yo, there's John. What's up, brother? How you been?
Margaret Bridges. Hello.
Good to see you in here. Well, we're going to go ahead. We're done with the pleasantries. Thank you all for joining and coming in here tonight. Once again, I'm not making any excuses, and I don't want to stay long on what happened, but the week after the expedition, we had a full 24 hours of audio to go through and almost 4 days of video to go through. So, I was hoping to get it out at least by Thursday or Friday of that week. Well, that didn't happen. and I didn't want to rush it. I wanted to do this video long form. A lot of people wanted it to be put into 2 parts. I didn't do it in 2 parts because I felt like if I did it in 2 parts, you'd watch the first part and then another day or a week would go by, you'd watch the second part and kind of forget where you were and lose that momentum of a show. I never expected it to be 3 hours and 46 minutes, and that was tuned down. That was like my 3rd edit, and I didn't want to leave anything out. So it just was a long show, and I appreciate everyone for taking the time to watch that long show. I think you will find, though, it is a long form video that you do not get bored with. There's something never really stays or lingers on the scene for too long. We're moving. We are in the field working. We actually, I mean, there's so much to talk about. And we're about to get in there. I'm learning myself. So the second week came, and I went into the hospital on Wednesday. Yes, that's right, with chest pains at work. They said it was pleurisy. I've followed up with my doctor here today, and we're not sure. So I have stress tests, cardio stress tests that Bigfoot Explorer's got to do. And I have what's called a upper GI scope to test for GERD, which is acid reflux. But I love the word GERD. I have GERD. Nice to meet you. Anyway, so that's what happened then. And then that was Wednesday. I spent the whole day in the ER, and my aunt passed last night from a 6-month battle of colon cancer that subsided with chemo after 4 months, went back and popped up again in her liver. So she went peacefully last night at her home with us, the immediate family there. I appreciate everyone who sent me a personal note. It means a lot. And most of all, I appreciate your patience and hanging around after 2 weeks of salivating over when we were going to discuss all this.
3 weeks.
3 weeks, whatever it has been. So Bigfoot Explorer took one on the chin, you know. Down goes Bigfoot Explorer.
But guess what?
So we're getting back up. Scott's going to have to get into a little bit better shape. I'm going to be quitting smoking. I've started Wellbutrin. Actually, I start tomorrow. So it's going to be a new and improved Explorer. But that's it. That's the explanation of why it's been so long. Man, where do we even start? Look, the expedition was really, yeah, you know, the Facebook users, whoever that is, it's sorry to hear about your aunt. Oh, it is hi, good day. Thank you, hi, good day. Well, what's weird though, it doesn't say their names though, you know? It just says Facebook user. Huh. Anyway, can y'all hear me okay? I'm getting some reverb. Just send some thumbs up in the chat. Y'all can hear me okay? I don't know what it is. So the expedition was awesome. We left on a Thursday morning. We got there. Patrick was driving from North Louisiana. We set up camp. We were really hyped. I think I was really in shock. I mean, you're in the moment. You're working. You got plans going on. But what we captured, and I guess really the 4 things to take away from the expedition was we had experiments, we did experiments, and we were boots on the ground the entire time. I don't think there was one night that we went to bed earlier than 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock. There are tracks in our areas that we all picked that I can't believe. It's places that I've been to before there with her, by myself, and I never saw them. But they're there, those tracks. And then some of the long distance audio that we got was compelling. And there's not enough of it in the video. There's so much more of that audio that's really barely audible because it was happening at like 100 yards away, 150 yards away. Yeah, I don't know why. Let me take myself out of the show just for a minute, guys, and I'm going to get back in and see if that stopped the feedback.
Well, how y'all doing? It's just me sitting here, holding my end of the boat down.
All right, I'm back. Hello, testing. Hello, it's me. Is there feedback? Hello, I'm not hearing the reverb. Hello, testing. 1, 2, 3. Yes, I am not insane. I'm just trying to see if we get it, and it appears to be going for right now. So, so those were the 3 real caveats. I asked. We can go through. I have the show up on YouTube, and Patrick's got some timestamps that we may try to listen to here. But what sci-fi? Give us your interpretation of the expedition. What you thought about it, how it went, what was your highlight, things of that nature.
Oh, it was so boring. No, actually, it was really fun. I had a good time. I learned a lot. At nighttime was the hairiest parts, you know. I was like, shooting close to you in between Patrick and the truck. I mean, it was different. It's not like going out during the day.
It's spooky.
Yes, it is.
When you're alone and you're way back there, it's spooky.
Well, I wouldn't be out in the woods alone by myself.
Well, no, I'm just saying all 3 of us were alone.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
But you feel kind of a little bit better knowing that there's people there with you, you know, but it takes time to learn the process of doing it, you know. You don't start off learning the first day, you know.
Right.
But it was very adventurous. I had a good time, and I can't wait till we go again.
Patrick, what's your take? Give us a little intro. Your takeaways from the trip as a whole, highlights, and that sort of thing. Yeah, dude.
Well, you know, starting off, I'd like to say I think you did a great job editing the video. I have a solution that I'll talk to you about later, I think, as far as when we start running into videos that run into this kind of length, that I think would be a great compromise for people. I was going to ask what your personal, both of y'all, what your personal most significant point during the expedition for each one of y'all. You know, what did you take away from personally that solidified or really brought home the subject matter that we were studying? You know, what's yours and what's yours, one at a time.
Wait, repeat that. I was paying attention to the chat.
He wants to know what was the most influential or highlighted point
of the whole trip.
For you personally.
Yeah.
You personally.
Actually, meeting you and being a team, that was pretty good working together, you know. You this way, Scott this way, and me this way, and coming together as one group. that was one of the highlights. Being able to get out there and look for footprints and everything else, and also doing the different experiments, you know, and listening to the howls while he was hooting like the owl.
Yep.
But
Well,
I mean,
pertaining to the subject matter that we were studying, you know, what did you come across? What came across in your own personal mind as, wow, this is what the trip is worth making? You know, this is what we're looking for.
you go.
For me, it's easy. I don't want to be long-winded about it, but I've got to be in some way. And it all has to do with the introverted person that I am. I've become wiser in my old age. I take things in much differently than I used to. I've always been a believer. You know, there's part of me that wants to see one and wants to be a knower, but then again, I don't know if I'm ready for that. So if there's a purgatory for being a believer and a knower, this trip put me into the purgatory in between a believer and a knower. And it happened the last night at the campfire setup. We were out there at the campfire. Patrick believes that, I mean, it seems like they were around us. And it's very difficult for me to say that and believe it, but there's some strange things that happen. But what makes me believe that they were around us is what happened about midway to almost the end. It got to a point where we were just really trying unorthodox, out of the box theories. In North Louisiana, Patrick has his clan. And there's certain things you can do and you can't do there. And that's what he's known for almost 10, 11 years. Here, you know, it's like he's been let off a leash in order to explore a little bit. Things that he's afraid to do, or not necessarily afraid to do, things that he is apprehensive about doing with his clan and stays reserved because he doesn't want to break that tie. We're starting afresh in a new place in Mississippi. Let's try something to see if it sticks. So that's what we were doing. We were doing whoops. We were doing yells. This one's got a great whoop. Patrick's got an awesome yell, awesome whistles and whoops. I got to work on mine. But one of the tools that I thought about using was a large African clave instrument. And it resonates in the woods like nothing else. We got a few comments that had said, well, it's more realistic if you hit a tree with a solid stick. I get that. And we can go into that a little bit more, but I don't want to get off on my point. There was a part where, you know, we're trying all kind of different things. We're straining to hear stuff. We're listening. We're taking a break. We're sweating. We've been in front of the fire. We're drenched. We're getting something to drink. I think these two were by the truck getting some water and just kind of taking a break. And I walked out a little bit. I said, you know what? I'm just going to try knocking, but don't do the 60 or 120-second gap. Just do whatever. So I started doing it. And it wasn't a constant knock. And this isn't on video. We couldn't leave the video going for how long were we there? We were there at like 6 o'clock, 5 or 6 o'clock until
about 6 hours, huh?
midnight, I think.
Yeah, we left at midnight.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't leave that camera running the entire time. I'll talk to you about what happened to the audio. But as I'm doing this, after about 6 times, I start hearing woo woo. I mean, ways off. And it's one of those things where you go, it's kind of like if you've ever seen a mouse run and you look and you go, am I making myself say things, or was that really a mouse? Because they're so fast, Same thing with the audio. And we had heard tons of owls around us all night. We know what the owls sound like. We heard other kind of sounds, wood sounds, and this was not an owl. We must have heard it at least a dozen or so times. But what it was is, as these two were doing what they were doing, I was sitting there doing this, and I kept getting this response back. I'd hit, and it'd go, "Ooh," and I'd be like, "You heard that?" And they're going, "No, no." Like I do to Patrick when he says, "Man, you heard that?" And I go, "No, no, no." It's one of those things that it's just above the ambient noise, which we had, the entomology symphony going that night. It was ringing your head as you went to sleep at night, because that's all you heard.
Crickets.
So, I mean, we are straining. I mean, I'm out there and I'm doing this kind of by myself, and I'm hearing this answer me. And they keep saying, "Well, no, no." And I'm describing it. I'm saying it's way off. It's like 150 yards away. It sounds like it's straight out in front of us. Here's the cone. Walk over here. Turn your ear this way. Get ready. And then I did it again, and this one heard it.
I heard it.
And then at some point, she did a whoop, and it answered her. And look, I got the goose pimples right now. It was something, and I'm talking to Patrick. I'm like, he finally hears it, and the way I know he was being honest about it, he said, "Man, I hear it, but it's like it's just right above the insects, but I hear it." I said, "That's exactly what it is. You think you hear it, and you just if you did not have a keen mind, you just rule that off as being something owl sound." But the important thing is, no matter what it really sounded like, it answered. Because when I was silent and we were silent, nothing. Wait about 5 to 10 minutes and do a whoop or hit that again. You get that single whoo, and it was a different kind of whoop. There were two different, and I forget the other one. There were two different cadences within the whoop. Like a whoop is a whoop, whoop. Yeah, and this one had a whoo, whoo, and then there was another one, another sound. And I'm talking to Patrick. I'm saying, it's answering this. It's answering me. He said, "Yeah, it's answering that thing. It's answering us." So, that's my move me from believer into purgatory stage. And it was very moving. It was very moving. And then, once that happened, the tracks put me into perspective as well. The things, I mean, I'm a seasoned hunter. I've been in the turkey woods a long time, and I never looked with the eyes that I have now, with the knowledge that Patrick has taught us, and some things you just, you think but if something is totally and completely ignorant to you, and there's no need to think about it, then you don't see things that relate to what you don't know either. So that's my take on it.
Okay, now, mark me if I'm wrong, Patrick. The hairy part was when me and you and Scott walked over to the truck and we heard that growl.
Yes. That made me rein in security a little bit, because Scott wanted to take off to shut the experiment down, and I said, "No, let's back down in there. Let's take her out with us." Are you hearing me okay?
It's breaking up a little bit. Start over.
The growl was definitely hairy, and that made me rein in security a little bit because when I remember Scott wanted to take off to shut the experiment down that was going on down there. He went down there to shut it down and started walking, and I said, "No, I think we better drive down." So, anyway, that was definitely a hairy time. But that growl audio does no justice to that growl. Christy's Sci-Fi and I sat there and listened to that growl for about 14 seconds.
Yeah, and it had to be when I went to the truck to get the damn thermal. Yeah,
you said, "Hey, I'm a great," and I'm like, "Okay." And so you take off, and when you left, I really think it's because you left. We weren't a united front anymore. You were at the truck. It was me and Christy standing there, just two of us, and they said, and it just went on for about 10 seconds. And I looked at Christy and I said, "I think that was a growl," because there's a certain part in your mind that will try to push back on everything that comes into you. It'll push back and say, "Okay, debunk it. How can this be explained in any other way?"
Right.
So it takes a little while, and you're like, "Did you hear that?"
Right.
But
hey, let's see if we can play a little bit for them. I don't know if y'all will like this. It's going to be very difficult to hear. I'll do my best to explain to you like I did in the video. But for those who didn't hear the video, I have it queued up on YouTube. So let's listen real quick. Let's see. Share screen.
That's where it's at?
Yeah, it's around here.
All right, later. Well, I was being aggressive.
Oh, that sounded.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Right there, out that little behind the seal. We heard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't hear it this way.
No.
you can hear the reverber on it. The reverb on it you can hear, but the actual growl itself was so low and so long. But and I'm glad you didn't walk down.
Did you hear the audio from YouTube just now?
Yeah, I could hear it. I could hear it, but
can't hear it good. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see if we were going to be able to present it in a way that folks would be able to hear it, and I don't think we can.
Well, you could hear what was captured, but I think
I'm glad that the audio, because nothing gave me a sinking feeling more than every time y'all kept hearing things. For whatever reason, I wasn't hearing it. It wasn't until the last night that I finally started hearing something that y'all didn't. I was like, yes. But I couldn't hear. But once I went back to that audio and really analyzed it, you had the bugs and then you had that, and then when it hits the growl, it goes and so something it happened.
And that Patrick said that, and I was like,
and it was close too.
Yes.
And it was close, and it had to be close because my mics aren't designed. They're not $800,000 Studio Birders mics. They're designed for interviews, and I boost the signals to try to get what we can get. So the fact that it came in that way is a testament to just the close proximity of what it was.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, we're doing what we can do. I think you're doing a good job. And if you'll let me, you're talking about that hairy time. I'm gonna tell you how brave Cy is.
Hey, what
Okay.
do you say? What do you say we go through the whole thing as the days went?
Okay.
Instead of popping in,
Okay.
or do you just want to pick spots? It doesn't matter.
How about I discuss what was most significant to me,
Yes.
and then we'll go into
Okay.
the most significant of what I experienced. Now here's my thing. I have to rein myself back, and I have to say something, because just as Scott said at the conclusion of our video, we don't want to project or try to put in your head or try to say believe this is what it is. We want y'all to, objectively look at what we put out there, and the evidence is there. Make your own mind up. I can't remember the word Scott used, but I have to rein myself in because of a lot of years in the field that I've had, and so I have to, really watch my wording. But the thing is here's my question: at what point in time can I call it what it is? That's the question in my head. But
it's difficult,
and that's something for y'all to think on. That's something for y'all to think on. The significant part of me, and I'm probably going to call it what it was. You're out there doing just a single knock on that clave, and you're just doing a knock and you're listening, and you're doing a knock and you're listening, and I'm watching you and I'm listening. I'm watching you and you're listening, and I can tell something's going on. So, you figured something out in your area, and it came together in your area completely different than it did in mine. You're getting vocalizations on that, just sitting there knocking and listening, and you're getting vocalizations in, when in my area I'll get knocks in, but it took me years to get any kind of vocalizations. So the fact that you sat down and patiently figured something out that worked, for you in your area, that was one of the most significant parts of it, as far as my personal experience.
Yeah, because it's almost it's twofold. You're happy for me, for us, and the team, but then again, that gives you validation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it really put me to the next, whatever you can say that level is, because I'm one of those people who, there are very few people that I trust. Very few. And the few people that I did trust who've had these experiences, I believe them. It's hard for me to just say, yeah, they're there. We know, because I haven't had that experience. But I believe you. I believe Kerry Arnold, and I believed Mike Woolley after talking to him for months on the phone, and finally agreeing to have an interview. And when you talk intimately with people behind closed doors, and you see them getting on this roll, I mean, it's not like they're talking to you. It's like they're just, I could not be there, and they'd still be talking because they're wrapped up in that moment. And when somebody's full of doo-doo and when they're not. And that's been a skill of mine, is to sniff out BSers. And I cannot debunk people like that I trust. So I've been there, but this put me at a level where something is answering me. Then we'll keep going. It's your floor.
No, what you were saying about me being not scared?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to it. I have a question. You made a great point about debunking, and And I'm gonna tell you, even when Sasha came into the firelight, and you know, me, my little boy, person I'm dating at the time, everybody's there. Everybody heard the knocks. Everybody's, you know, experiencing this. Even when I left there, even with my own eyes, I said, "Hey, did y'all see that? Was I crazy?" You know. So there's something in the back of your head that pushes back and says, "There's no way it's supposed to be here. They're not supposed to be real." There's always something that pushes back, and for me, I let it do it a little bit because I have to debunk stuff, which is a great point that you made, which is what I'm going to come to. Here's a question for the listeners and the viewers. How, you know, and this is a question that's been in my head for quite a while. What natural force creates foot-shaped impressions in the ground with toes and heels and punch marks that's consistent, that has a travel way? How do you debunk that? Also, how do you debunk wooden knocks and vocalizations? As far as, you know, a scream can be debunked a little bit to me. Maybe it's a big cat, maybe it's not. But for something to go, woo,
Yeah.
you know, at 90 yards, it came into 90 yards doing that.
Yeah.
I heard the line very clear. There was two notes. One was woo, and the second one was woo. And I think you got both of them on audio, because I listened to your audio and I could tell each note was different. You know, we had one, and then you had that one that was a flat line.
And I forgot to tell the viewers this. It started out being 150 yards away, but towards the end of the night, there was a point where we heard it clear. Like we both looked at one another and we're like, man, you know that turn where it goes back? I'm like, yeah, it's right there. It's like 90 yards away. And the big screw to me and the entire effort really peeved me off was that there's no place really to buy stuff where we were at. I went into a mom and pop's grocery store. The only batteries they had dust on them, and they were orange Kodak branded batteries for $1. 4 AAs for $1. So I'm like, so I bought like 5 packs, thinking, well, if these are bad, I'll another. Well, come to find out, those batteries drained, and when the batteries drain while the recorder is recording, the entire file is corrupted because the machine, the recorder, needs you to hit stop on that record. And what that tells the machine is, okay, you stopped recording. We are going to put that audio file into a wrapper in a format, which is like MP3 or WAV, and we're going to process it and save it. But because it was recording and the batteries just went out, there was no time for the recorder to end the file, package it up, and process it and save it. So we lost the only audio that we got from that firelight, camping fire scenario was the moments that I had the video camera running, which thankfully it caught a bunch of stuff, and I'm thankful. But if we'd have had that other one go, and we will go into this more, but both Pat and I, as soon as we got back, that's the one thing that he said. We made a lot of mistakes. We got to have audio redundancy. We got to have B, C, D. So that just goes along with the learning process.
Mm-hmm.
So from here on out, there will be 2 dedicated audio recorders going plus my camera. So if one of them goes out, the other one's going to keep going. Anyway, keep going, brother.
All right. Well, we also got a knock. we got a knock in at 60 yards out there. And I'm not sure if we got it on audio or not, but I was certainly there. It was, they were whooping. He came in at 90 yards, and then there was a dull thud. And am I breaking up?
No, you're good.
And so that's something else I want to debunk. What out there has hands that can pick up something and knock against a tree? Because if I'm painting a picture for me out there doing this.
I mean, a paw from a bear can only do this.
Now, I'm going to paint you a picture here. I'm sitting in a chair, and I hear something slap a limb that's above my head. I get out tracking. I'm finding foot shape impression, in pine straw. And we track these all the way back to where I knew where they went. And then we come back, and we didn't even touch on the gibberish that we heard that was passing. It was passing. Now, we tracked up behind these, and I said in the video, I think I said, well, I hope they're moving on because we're on the back door. And we went about another 10 yards, and I heard them take off again. So we pushed up behind them, and we pushed them. I said, do you hear that? And we pushed them. They went out, and we went back to the fire. You showed us how close to the fire we were off the 3 o'clock, remember?
Yeah.
So we get back to camp, and we hear this gibberish walk through the woods from that point all the way back out. And I really think they left the country until you started knocking and they started answering, and you pulled them back into 90 yards whooping at you. Yeah. That's my take on it. So, and that's those facts. That's what happens. That's what I witnessed and what y'all witnessed as well.
Right.
So,
yeah. And the gibberish that he's talking about, there was a moment, and we're talking about the fire camping scenario experiment after we did the tracking session at night, and we came back out. I don't know, it might have been 15 to 20 minutes later, from all the way, at our 6 o'clock from where we were sitting, which would be our south. I kept hearing, the only way I could describe it was, it was like a distant hyena laugh. I'm like, you hear that? I mean, you hear that? And it actually moved. Like there was a cone of, let's say, 300 yards. This might have been 150 to 200. It started here. And it hit it maybe 5 times. And the last time I heard it, it was here. Like circles from where we were tracking. He heard it. Did you hear it, Denny?
Oh yeah, I heard it several times. I'm trying to figure out what it is, and I'm tracking it.
How to describe it? It wasn't like a chimp.
I'm tracking it. Yeah, I'm tracking it as it moved, and it moved the direction, and went out of hearing, and it moved, and from that direction, that's when you started getting the whoop.
Yeah.
You're not,
because it wasn't too long. It wasn't too long from that start here. Another 20 or so minutes that had it kept going that way, it had to been all the way around us. It was the strangest thing, and of course that was a time that I was not filming. If anybody here in the chat is asking about, well, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Go look at the video. The best thing I can tell you to do is scrub through it, and when you see the audio waveform and the spectral wave, stop there on those and listen. We don't have a lot, but we have we believe in what we got, and we have some decent stuff there in both the tracks and those audio. Something was messing with our audio recorder. We'll get into that. Was fooling with it. Yeah.
I gotta take a break.
Hey, did you hear that?
The chatter.
Yeah, the hyena type
Yeah,
sound.
a little bit like the second time when you heard it.
Yeah.
I heard, you know, it was weird.
Yeah, it was definitely odd. Well, let's see. While Patrick is away, let's see.
Well, Ann says she asked if there could have been people out there where we was at. I said no way. We was way out
Look,
there.
and I'm not just answering that to tell you that every spot that we picked for this experiment, we went to 1, 2, 3. Went to 3 spots. We mainly stayed at 3 sites. Okay. We had a 4th that I wanted to check out, but it didn't pan out. But we went to 3 of our sites, and 2 of the sites produced. That was the Wade Capital site and what we call the oil well site. And both of those places are in areas where you got to take a back road that's paved. Then you get into the forest, and it's rock road. And you keep going and going and going on rock road. Then you take a left on a rock road. Then you take a right on it. Then it starts turning, and the road starts getting narrower, and it's dirt road with brush from the trees. And you're wondering, is this a trail or a road? I'm a mapping expert. I'm confident in that. And there are no homes. There are no homes, and there are no. Look, we're in a national forest. I'll go ahead and say it. There's only 3 national forests here in South Mississippi. That's as much as I say about it. And in the national forest, sure, on the outskirts, there are homes here and there, but we're in the heart. There's nothing else out there.
Guess who's in here?
Who?
Booger.
It's Booger Booger. She's been waiting like a month to say Booger. Let me tell you what, Booger. I love your nutsy videos. When I saw you name that little baby squirrel Nutsy, I like to fell out my chair at work, and you keep calling him, come on Nutsy. And I was cracking up. I love Nutsy. I tune in to see what Nutsy's eating. He makes a little bowl of like mashed up berries and bananas, and then he made a swing for it. And put Nutsy on it, and Nutsy's on the swing, just sitting there, and it just let him do it. The little baby squirrel's just swinging, man. It didn't jump off or nothing. It just stayed. It was so cool.
He was giving it like tissue paper. He was taking the tissue paper and going into the little net.
Hey, you need to tell. I forget, Rick, if you told us where you found the little guy. Were you out rustling around deep in the woods, or was it close to the house, or how did you find Nutsy? Wait, Wood Booger says he's got to come clean. Come on, spit it up. Let's go. Get it out, Booger. Scott's all in. Hashtag Nutsy. Yeah, while you were gone, you need to subscribe to Wood Booger Farm. His videos are great. I love watching him. He has a squash playground. He's really got a lot of land, and there are a lot of things he comes across that he includes in on his videos. Just random anything. It could be a bunch of pawpaws that he finds in a tree. If you don't know what a pawpaw is, it is a fruit, a wild fruit that grows on a pawpaw tree, and they're very good.
We got him here.
So he shows all kind of stuff. That's why I like his videos. But he rescued a baby squirrel and named it Nutsy. Nutsy is its name.
Hey Patrick, that's the one I call Booger.
Yeah. Nutsy is a star. Anyway, let's see.
Yeah, Rick is.
Oh wait, he says me, Booger, and cat agents
caught him.
Ah.
Ugh.
Well, I'm glad you found him. Was there any nest or anything? Do you see where he fell out, like a big nest or something, getting ready for winter? Or
I'll be right there.
anyway, let's see. Now's a good time to go a little bit into so before we move on, the Wade Cap. I was just telling them that the main sites that we stayed at that were productive for us where the Wade Capital site is. And for those of you who are new here, go back into my interviews on YouTube and look up the Wade Capital encounter story. His name is Jody. Back in 1983, he was a young man who was hunting and had a face-to-face encounter with a brown Sasquatch a mile away from our site. So that's where we are. It was a tip by him. We worked with him. This February, we're going to work with Jody. Jody wants to come out with us once or twice. I told him that we would. But that site was a productive site. There were tracks there at that site. We did the sound light experiment there, the campfire experiment there. And then the second site that was productive was the oil well. Go ahead, bud.
One thing I noticed there when I was tracking, and it's not strange to not come across a big male track.
Which site though? Wade?
On either one of them.
Yeah.
I didn't find any big adults.
Yeah, I think that 13 size inch was the biggest at oil well, I think. Yeah,
and the others were, I think, like 7 and 9 or 10 or something like that. I tracked 4 different individuals, and the largest one being 13 and a half or so. That's not full-grown adult. I didn't find any full-grown adult tracks. That means, on the flip side of that coin, that means there's 4 small ones running around there. And I actually think there's more than that.
Yeah.
Because we had one laying on its belly at old well site. We had one growling at us, and we had one way out there doing the high-pitched yell. So that's at least 3 individuals at old well site that I perceive as there that I've witnessed with. Are you doing okay, Scott?
Yeah.
Hi, Christy. How you doing? I miss you.
Hey, Patrick, I miss you too. But go ahead.
Little short girl.
So the tracks. How many different tracks do you think we found?
There was 4 individuals that I tracked that weekend.
No, they had a little one. They had a juvenile.
You had the small one, or on the road. You had a smaller set, and then you had the medium size set. And then at the oil well site, there was like a almost 13-inch track, and then there was one that was right at 14-inch.
Yeah.
So that's 2 probably siblings, real close to each other. And then you had, of course, on the road, you had I think it was around 7, and then another one maybe around 8. I think those were 2 siblings as well.
Maybe so.
So that's 4 individuals. I know I tracked 4 different size tracks there that weekend. So, and the one that was yelling at us, that high-pitched yell that we got on audio, that I believe that one is even smaller.
You think so?
I don't think we tracked that one. That one was across the one where we did the first tracking down that trail, and I point in the camera. I'm getting yelled at it from across the creek. It went down. It yelled twice there. went down across the creek, and then came up close to the truck within 200 yards yelling. So that was 3. I heard 7 vocalizations of that high pitch yell. I heard a total of about 27 vocalizations throughout the weekend, being the growl, the whoops, the scream from on top of the hill while we're getting the whoops, the high pitched yell from down there in Old Well site while we were tracking.
And those big footprints that were found in the rocks, remember, next to the big.
Yeah, that was the biggest. That was the biggest one. That was about 14 inches.
That was a big day there.
Yeah, but it was, and yes, there was 4 different size Bigfoot tracks there, Crazy Chris. But yeah, that's how I identify. Like in my area when I'm tracking, I'm going off sizes, but over the years those sizes will change. I'm always looking for that next growth spurt they hit. So, but so I can keep up with who's making it. That's one reason why I had to name them all. They didn't come to me and say, "Hey, this is my name." I got tired of calling them Phenomenon 1 and Phenomenon 2 and the Big Phenomenon. I got tired, so I just named them.
Oh, that was a fun experience. That growl was kind of.
But if you want, let's go through, kind of start to finish on the scenarios. We went to the first knock situation, went dark, and Scott's knocking, and we get something that steps in the gravel. It crosses the road, steps into the woods. I'm trying to track it. It's just too dark and too hard to track. We went to a second, and that's actually the first scenario that was significant because I've had that happen to me before knocking up here. The second knock scenario, we got nothing out of it. And then I think the next day we were going to set up light sound. And that was a lot of fun, sweating and hoeing in the dirt. I called it an implement on tape because someone said, "Well, what do you got in your hand there, Patrick?" I said, "An implement." I'm not calling it a hoe on film. I'm not doing it. But yeah, and we set that up, and then we went track. Didn't we go tracking again?
Yes, we did.
Where did we go for that tracking after that? Back to Oil Well site?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what did you think about going through and picking the tracks out? And I mean, when you find this track right foot and you find that track left foot and you keep going and you keep finding them, I mean, what's going through your head?
I'm going, wow, one was actually walking right here. Could have been today, could have been yesterday, could have been an hour ago. It was right here.
It could be watching you.
Yeah, exactly. And when you asked me, I said, when we was in that one spot where I said, yeah, I feel them, they're here. And remember I told you I felt that when you did that, raw! And I went, it hit my ear and I'm going, oh, you peed them off. And I'm like, oh. I was like, I was standing by the truck when you did that, and I was going,
we edited that out because Chris, he's like this. Well, I'm gonna show you. No, wait. This is you. We got to do it.
Okay. I'm gonna do Patrick. Raw.
Oh no, we gotta go. I got some bad buzz. We gotta go.
Well, hey, I don't take that lightly because I was wearing a navy blue shirt when I got there.
When you did that, the raw, and I was standing by the truck and I was like, I'm like, ooh, it just hit my ear, my body.
You feel that nervous energy?
No, something threw out a vibe or whatever it was, and it was like, and you could tell it was mad, it was like, oh, we gotta get out of here. I don't like this feeling.
Well, it wasn't very long. It wasn't very long. We got the growl.
Yeah.
Well, after we went to that first spot where we heard the gravel, we left, got on the highway, and went to that. It's one of the only north sites that we have that's close to it's a feeder stream off of a bigger river. And we went there and knocked a bunch. Remember, we went there and we got nothing for. I think we stayed there an hour, and I think that was the end of that night. Or did we go back to? Did we go to Oil Well late on the first Thursday? No.
No, we
The
didn't.
two spots that we went to were the first site, the Gravel Sound, and then the north site. That was unproductive. Then Friday was the tracking at Oil Well.
Mm-hmm.
Friday was the tracking where we found tracks. We literally found a beaten down pathway, as Patrick describes. One of these days, if we keep getting those beaten down pathways, Patrick, I'm going to do a segment where we cut from each one. Okay, the one from your place, the one from Oil Well, the one from question mark that we might find, and then the next one if we start seeing a pattern, and I'm going to put them all together with the locations, and it's going to be a patterning type videos.
Mm-hmm.
But we found the same type of beaten down soil path that's about the width, what, 5 to 6 to 8 inches, beaten down to the soil only. No, everywhere else there's pine needles on the ground. We had wind, we had lake, but there's a perfect path. And learning about tracking with Patrick, you follow that path, and sure enough, we started uncovering these tracks, which you can see in the video. What did we do after that? We stayed there a good while, and I think we went and got some lunch. I'm trying to think. Is that when that was Friday? Yeah. Friday. Then after that, I think Friday was the night that we actually set up at Wade Capital. Right? Yeah.
Saturday night is when we set up. Friday night was light sound. We
Yeah.
had light sound
Right.
Friday night.
So we went to Wade Capital to introduce Patrick to that area. We did some tracking on the way in. We showed him our because this isn't the first time we went to Wade Capital. It was actually a third or fourth time that we went there, right?
Yeah, we've been there a bunch of times.
Yeah, because the first time we went, we didn't video. Remember?
Yeah, we
just
didn't
went
video.
back
The
there.
second time was the video.
One in February of this year, and then the
Then we did
third time was the one in the summer.
the one in the summer, and
Not
then we
too long
went.
ago.
And then we went again.
Uh-uh.
We did the recon.
Oh,
Different
yes.
spots.
We did do the recon. So this was the fifth time we went there.
Mhm.
So fifth time, all of which the second time we went, we found the footprint by the right of way, and I actually show that too in the video. Past things, the big X, which was still there, but one of the structures of that X is kind of starting to die off. And we set up for light sound. I think they know what light sound is, but I mean, you want to go over it again and tell them what we did?
I went in and I took an implement.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
I scraped the ground back to try to reveal where, if they would walk up to it and leave tracks. And I buried just a little Walkman type radio and a small LED lantern to get their attention. And now we were breaking the rules of what we were doing to get their attention on us. And we were doing things in areas that humans don't usually do things in. and that particular type of thing that's being done. So those were the rules we were breaking to try to get the interactions we wanted.
Right.
And so, and light sound is a way to do it unmanned, because they have a very large personal space about them. And so I wanted them to come in and no one be there and just leave tracks and physical evidence. And they did. We found tracks. We heard audio of them walking around.
Now they weren't concrete tracks, but they were there. I mean, there was like one, right? Or was it two really good ones?
There was 4 with toes and heels.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what we decided on filming it.
Yeah.
Now the weird part about this is, and I'm not going to say for definite, but I quit hearing my radio at 2 a.m. and I started hearing it again that next afternoon. So that radio was gone, or that radio wasn't audible for at least 11 hours.
Yes. And I picked up on that too. I think I texted you and I'm like, dude, the radio's gone from like 7 hours, 6 hours, 6 to 7 hours.
It was from 2:30 a.m. until about 1:32.
5 o'clock maybe, huh? Yeah.
And I was listening to walking around. There were sticks breaking and walking around right when we pulled up.
Yes.
Because I could hear us enter the woods. What was breaking sticks and walking around left out.
And what I want to emphasize too is, if you've watched that video, there is a very good audio clip of what he's just describing. Heavy walking, bigger limbs, not twigs breaking, and it gets closer, and then my recorder is being fooled with, just like that. Now, I couldn't put how many times that happened in the video, because that had been a dozen times. There were dozens of instances of that same thing. Maybe that's something that I can do. Just put all of them in there. I don't know, but there was definitely a pattern. I ruled out it being squirrel or raccoon or a bear fooling with it. When I went and got that recorded the next day, I would assume, and yes, assuming is not good, but I would assume that if it was a squirrel, the recorder was hung low on purpose in a sapling about 1.5 inches in diameter that forked off. And I did that on purpose because I didn't want it in a big, big tree up 6 foot high. I just didn't want it there. Everybody does that. Everybody hangs it up in a big tree, in a big limb. I wanted to rule out anything crawling on the tree or doing. So it's this sapling that maybe was 12 to 13 foot tall, little sapling. Mm-hmm. And it was hung low at your knee. And we hit it with a bunch of ferns. I mean, and it looked good. And after fooling with it, I had also wrapped it with yeah, but it was that tape, that knee bandage tape that you get. It sticks to itself. It's like a cloth and it stretches. Well, I wanted regular tape with sticky on one side, but they didn't have that. What I bought was this. I had no idea what I was buying. I thought it was the tape I needed. Well, it's this bandage stuff that you use to dampen your bow limbs or something, right? So I wrapped the recorders in that stuff. So it was very soft and it was very easy to be manipulated if it would have been a squirrel that was trying to get at it or push on it, or plus, excuse me, the external mic that I used was about the size of my thumb with a big styrofoam foam mesh windscreen. Wait, see? Wait. There it is. So, and that's the tree. So, and it was impeccable. There was nothing wrong with it. Nothing was kind of scratched on. The little bit of foam on the external mic. I mean, I took it off and was peeling it back to see if it was ripped. Nothing was wrong with it at all. It was as if you can hear it, boom, boom, and whatever it was close, because there's a different sound when wind blows and that recorder box hits the tree. You know that sound. But when you got a mic that's sticking out like this and something is bumping the mic like this, it's kind of a hollow boom, 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 boom. Well, that's what it was on the mic. And then occasionally you would hear the box clankety clank clank. It's just, and it wasn't windy, because later at about 5 or 6 when we got there during the day, that wind picked up, and you can hear that wind. You can definitely hear that wind. But all night there was not wind, and usually what we had there was insects going crazy. Go ahead.
Well, at one part of that video, at the audio, I listened to something walk up, breaking sticks as it walks.
Yeah.
Has weight on it as it walks. It walks close up and goes dump, 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 dump on that. You can hear it. So
who was like,
I don't
like a series. Like what?
Yeah, and
what is this?
Yeah, and we tracked around that area, around light sound, and I looked around, not just in the dirt, but around in the leaf litter too. And the only tracks found there were flat-footed with toes. You know, the same size that was on the road that we found the day before.
Yeah.
So I know what made those tracks were there, and you could hear the weight, you could hear the sticks break, and you could hear it walk up close to the microphone and go, and you couldn't, I couldn't see it do it, but you hear it get up close, and then the microphone would go.
And look, I even came home, turned it on, and put because you can stick some headphones into the side of it. So I stuck headphones in, I put my earphones on, and I held it by that lanyard, and I was doing that. And then I'll do it on and it was the same damn sound.
Yeah.
You know, and we're not saying that's what it was, but tell me.
Yeah, debunk it.
What could have been.
Yeah, well, debunk
and this is another thing. Raccoons make their rounds, night creatures make their rounds. This went on from probably around 11 or 12 o'clock, all the way up to about right before we walked up, about 4 o'clock in the day. It was still going on. It would stop for a while, and the way I figured that out is, instead of listening to 24 hours, I first went through and looked at that spectral and the wave itself, and I looked for those peaks. So I kept moving that slider to each peak. And once I started recognizing these bumps in the handling, and I knew what it sounded like, I kept going to each one, and I would mark down, okay, this is the second time I heard the same thing. Third time at this time, fourth time at this time, fifth time at this time, sixth time, and it kept going until you were hearing birds and it was morning. So what creature of the night, natural, South Mississippi animals, are going to be that curious to where there's gaps of maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45, and they just come back and forward again, leave it, And then when it comes back, there's always stepping and crunching. Of course, any animal is going to make that sound. The sounds that it actually made as it walked up did not seem to be a consistent sound with four legs that almost seems like it's one sound because it's so long, because all 4 feet are moving. It's like you never hear a gap when it's an actual 4-legged animal. You know what I'm saying? Like when a deer's walking, you kind of hear that constant rustle until they stop. This was literally gap, crunch, gap, crunch, gap.
Growing up and all the hunting and outdoors we did from a young age, you can imagine the dark woods. I'd be taken out, set by a tree in the dark, and left there. And my father would walk off out of hearing. And so you're sitting there with a gun in the dark. And when if you're 6, 7 years old, every little noise in the woods will make you want to go to something scary. So as a child, I sat there and listened and mapped out what would come by me in the dark. And I'm like, okay, this is scurry. It's a light step. It's a possum, or you can hear armadillos come through there, sound like a tank, or sometimes you hear deer walking through for daylight. And so I got real good at, I had to do it for myself because as a child, I would go to, back then it was the creature from the Black Lagoon coming through the lake, 6, 7 years old, screaming to death. So I did it as a calming effect, listening and discerning out what was walking around me in the dark. And that helps out, every skill I gained through all of this has helped me out greatly when it comes to, going out knocking for years and years and listen to them walk in the dark, listen to their gait, how they step, the weight they carry. And I'm going to tell you, the one thing, they can hide in topography and they can hide in bush and trees and they can move pretty quietly. But the one thing they can't hide is their weight. When you hear their weight on the ground and the leaf litter, there's no hiding that.
Well, there's no mistaking the size of that branch.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a twig, because it had to take additional steps to get there, which tells me that it was probably right there around Light Sound, headed from Light Sound to the recorder, which was a good, I don't know, would you say 30 yards, 25 yards from Light Sound to where the recorder was? Or was it 20?
I'd say 18 to 20 yards.
Yeah.
Max.
So, but once you heard that big limb, it still had time to come. So, it would have been easy to say it was a twig and it was close, but the fact that it kept walking and the walking got louder tells me that the branch that it stepped on further behind it as it advanced was a larger branch because of the distance. God, there's so much stuff that we're leaving out here. It's going on 10 o'clock. You working overtime too, huh? You've been working overtime? Yeah. Well, look, let's get to some questions real quick. The numbers are starting to go down just a little bit. Does anybody, 5 Hazel, are you able to see the comments now, Patrick?
Yes, I see.
Did you see 5 Hazel? Where'd she say that at, man? She said there's a part in the film right here. She says, at Bigfoot Explorer, did you notice a squatch moved from tree to tree in the film? I don't know if you're asking me if I saw one do that or if you're telling me that you saw one and asking me if I noticed it. If the second one is the question you're asking, no. Tell us where that timestamp is. We'll see. I keep watching it. This one keeps watching it like a hawk too. Patrick keeps watching it. So, as far as pixel peeping the video, I know that could go on for a while. Five Hazel says, I'll watch it and get back to you. Yeah, please do. Let us know. I didn't document the time, and he moved fast as lightning. So Five Hazel has seen something. So get back to me at sjowens@bigfootexplorer.com. And look, this is another thing I want to tell you. So many people send me friend requests, and don't get your feelings hurt that I don't accept you. My Facebook is a news aggregate to get my news, and it's for my family. Not saying that you guys aren't family, but once I start getting so many people in there, it's hard for me to track and know what's going on. If you want to get to me and talk to me personally through Instant Messenger, the best thing to do is go to the Facebook Bigfoot Explorer group, join that group, and then instant message me, and I will answer you right away. I'm very good about getting back to people who instant message me or text me.
I told you.
Unless you're in the hospital and your aunt's dying, I might go to you. It might take a little while.
He is good at it. He is good at it.
She can get that.
Oh, I did want to discuss something about sci-fi before we get off here.
Okay.
It got hairy, and we backed down in there to shut down bait switch experiment. So we get down, we get out, you get out to shut it down. I say, I'm going to take a look around. And Cy says, I don't think it's a good idea. I said, you can stay in the truck if you'd like. It's okay. I jump out of the truck, Cy's right behind me, armed and has her back, even though she's scared. Now that's brave. And that's when we go walking around, and I hear that shift of weight right there in the brush, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 10 foot off my right hand side. That was close. That was freaky.
That was when you ran when we heard it in the bushes in the back.
Yeah, that's when it rolled and it slid. It shifted its weight and it slid down that hill. And I back up drawing a weapon, and I see Scott drawing a weapon, and because I don't know which direction it's going to go.
Oh man, we never even talked about that. Damn it, man. There's so much of this thing that we just real quick, man. I got to bring that up. The second experiment that we did was bait and switch, and look, I'm just going to tell them. We literally had a Halloween skull that you put batteries in, and the lights on its eyes flashed. The object with bait and switch was Patrick would be a live bait, right? And you'd be down there and you'd knock and yell and you just get ready. Well, it's dangerous. So let's put something in its place for it to focus on while we hide off in a different area. And if it starts to come in, we throw the powerful lights, the video's rolling, the chance you might catch something running away from it. That was the idea behind that. There was something there. If it came up, we didn't get it. But there was a point where the experiment was over. And I was walking down there, and they're like, no, don't walk down there. Let's back down there in the truck where we can get to the truck. So we backed down there. We looked at the skull. Well, we went and looked at that area. And this one, Patrick, something ruffles, not like a scampering armadillo hopping in the leaves. I mean, a rustling, a turning over of foliage. And he just backed up, and it was quick draw McGraw. He went from standing there like this, hear it, and then drawn. And I didn't know what was going on, so I drew mine, and I'm just he said, "There's something down there. There's something down there. Just be ready and all. This one's behind us." And for a little while, it was hairy. Then we had lights blazing. We were looking. We were quiet. We were spooked. And things quieted down. And the next day, we went in there. Patrick, look, you could see where some brush was moved. It was hard to track with pine needles. Very difficult to find footprints in there. But that wasn't even all, because the experiment was over. We were going to pick up the equipment down at the lower elevation where we were, and we just, you just do. I mean, you just walk over to the wood line to kind of listen or look, or you got your foot, and then something happens. This is another issue of mistake. Learn. I should have had my GoPro, my Sony Action Cam hat on, and anytime I don't have the main camera running and we're still out there on a mission, I need to turn that thing on. That was a mistake I made. We would have got all that on video. Us throwing the lights and freaking out. And me, once the fright went away just for a minute, I'm saying, man, this would have been great video. Because it happened to us,
Yeah. I'm not a scary person in the woods.
I know you're not.
And so for me to reach for a weapon,
I know.
I have a 25-yard minimum.
That's
I have
why
a 25. Yeah, I have a 25-yard minimum, and it was 10 feet from me. And if you've ever heard a big animal roll as it gets up, like a horse or something laying down your pasture, and you're walking across there.
Deer and pigs waller, and you know what that sounds like.
Well, first off, we had Q beams going. We had knocks, yells. We were making all this noise. We backed the truck down in there, and whatever was hanging out there was watching those glowing eyes. And I heard it roll over, and when it rolled, I heard the weight of it, and that's what freaked me out. And being 10 foot from me, I didn't know which direction it was going to go. And so it takes a lot to draw a weapon.
Right.
Really.
5 Hazel must have went and looked real quick. She's given us a brief description. So all of us go look at this for tomorrow. She says, at Patrick Vaughn, rewatch as you were just almost finished talking about entry and exit at Capitol. Look to the left of the video for a tree-to-tree movement. When the hell was that? Was that the first or second time at Capitol? Hazel, was that when we were setting up, or was that when we were going back to retrieve? Let us know.
Hazel, send me a text.
Yeah, you can send sci-fi a text too if you want. It's easier. Somebody asked, Loretta Riggs, are y'all going back soon? Guess what that answer is? We can't wait. We're salivating. Patrick's already got an elaborate experiment that's going to be crazy if we can get all the equipment and stuff together. And we're not going to say a word about it until we do it. But we're just excited. We could have went there and had a great time looking and not finding a thing, and just scouting, telling him about the experiences we've had there. It easily could have been a night of not hearing anything, not having tracks. So it exceeded my expectation, and it didn't sink in until I was editing the videos. Once I was editing the videos and I'm looking at these tracks, I'm like, I can't believe it came out so well on video, tracks, because sometimes when you watch some videos, and that is another thing, guys, if you're ever watching videos, make sure you go to your little settings cogwheel at the bottom right, make sure you're watching in at least 720 HD. If you're on a mobile phone, it doesn't matter if you're using Wi-Fi or your cell data, it will log you back and it'll play most efficiently at 360 480. Okay, so you're not getting the full resolution of what you see. Always go check those videos when they're showing some sort of obscure detail with color. Make sure that 720 or 1080 HD is on. Pause it if you have to go back. It's well worth seeing it in HD. It gives you that little bit of Cryptidville. What's up, brother? Are you open to experience suggestions? Hell yeah! Go ahead, bring that on. Best thing
Brandon,
you've
Brandon.
yeah, bring them on. We would love to hear a few.
Hang some bacon from you. I was thinking about pork chops.
Brandon
says, "What's the scariest encounter you've had with Scott?" Are you asking that to Patrick or sci-fi?
He asked both. Go watch the first series.
Yeah,
you'll hear both encounters as they happened. And I have to say the first one was the most terrifying because to me, it shattered my own little world of they don't exist.
Wait, which one? What, the one in North Louisiana?
Yeah, the one in North Louisiana, the very first time I was being stalked by Sasha on the very first interview. The fact that this was nowhere in my wheelhouse, I was an adamant they don't exist. I mean, I even laughed a guy off a fire in another community. Rude, asinine, they don't exist person until the first time it happened. And that was the most terrifying, I guess, because it shattered my reality of me being the biggest, baddest thing in the woods. You know, being a primitive survivalist.
Yeah.
You know, hey, there's something else out here. And it's bigger, it's faster, it's stronger, and it's not supposed to be here.
And I've not had a full sighting encounter, but I will say, up until now, it's not the scariest. It's something, again, I'm going to reiterate, that has brought me from being a believer into a middle ground between a believer and a knower, and that was making a connection with those knock sticks, with something that kept answering me. No, that's all I had to say. Five Hazel's got a good question here. Christy Sci-Fi Gal, how do you feel about that rock they threw at you? That was at the well.
That was
right?
at the well, yes.
I went back and rewatched that. That really happened. I heard it hit.
Well, I heard it hit too, but it was like, well, I think I kept going because I was looking for that track in that moat. So go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
How did I feel about it? I thought it was really weird because
He came from behind you?
It was when you had the camera, and when you turn the camera, it came behind me.
Yeah.
I heard.
Was back where that one pine tree was leaning up against the other.
Yes.
Close to
I
that,
was like, something just threw a rock at me.
And not to creep you out, Christy, but the rock didn't have that much gravity to it. That means it had to be really close to throw that rock and have it land where it did.
Right. Because yeah, the further away it is, the more arc would have had the longer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like it
was like lob.
It was like
kind of like a lob.
Yeah, but I heard it. It was like right by me, and that's when I turned around and said something.
Here it is. Why did I get accused of throwing a rock?
You were on the other side of the tanks,
and he was over that way,
and I was in front of her.
Yeah, I hear Patrick, you throw a rock. I'm like, man, I'm over here.
Oh, yeah. And then I asked him too. I said, man, you throwing rocks? He's like, no.
Yeah, because you would have had to throw it over the
Over,
tank.
yeah.
But it was behind me.
Did you see the rock? Like
that's what I was looking for. I was like, something just threw a rock at me.
no, did you see it hit the ground and roll or anything?
No,
I just heard it.
I just heard it being thrown like
Plop.
yeah, like
Plop. Yeah.
you know, like this.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And that's when I turned around and I was like,
Ann says this. She heard the rock hit too. Yep.
Hey, can we play that timestamp I sent you of her whooping and getting the whoop response?
Yeah. What's that timestamp? 3 hours. You're breaking up. Say it again. Yeah, I can't hear him. Can't hear you, Patrick. You must be fooling around with your phone.
Go to 3 hours, 33 minutes, and 27 seconds.
3:33:27. So set that up real quick while I look for it.
Okay, so we've been around the fire. Scott has been out there just using a knock and listening, and using a knock and listening, using a knock and listening, and he's getting back this real faint response. And I'm talking a couple 100 yards out, and we're both kind of baffled about getting a vocalization on that clave knock, and so it comes in within 90 yards, you know, and we're all and Cy actually has the right tone and the right voice for the whoop. You know, I'm a little deep.
She got a good whoop.
Yeah, I really can't mimic it just real well, but Cy nails it, and she nails it in this clip, and it answers back immediately.
All right, let's listen to it. So it was at 3:33:27. We're starting at 3:33 like 06. Okay, guys. I'm gonna hover over the volume to keep the time running. So 3:33:27. Why isn't it happening right now? You just be quiet right now. So you're not. I like that change in the call.
Louisiana works here.
Did I miss it?
That's probably
No, keep going.
We're doing this.
That's a good one. Heard that? Yep. Did you hear that sound? I even put the whoop whoop in there.
I hear it better with my earphones.
Yeah, if you put your earphones in, guys, you can hear it. Let's try to go back a little bit. Oh. That's a good one. Heard that? Did you hear that sound? And then Patrick will go ahead and let the scream happen too.
I keep hearing something else.
What do you hear?
I heard a real faint scream out there. It's getting further away. It was louder.
I went too further. I advise any of y'all. Heard that? This is the whoop that she heard. Heard that? Wait. Wrong one. I'm sorry. Wait, here it is. The raw sound, I think, happens here. It's kind of like a ruh.
That's a scream.
Yeah, the scream. There it is.
I keep hearing something else.
Yeah, you can hear that. And listen, it doesn't do it justice, folks. It doesn't do it justice what we're recording if you'd be out there and hear it. It really. I am a tech guy, and I have a lot of good gear from many years of being a wedding and field producer for the Sportsman Channel. And it's still not enough. That's why it's so difficult to come back with evidence. You need good $1,000, 12-inch, double cordored shotgun mics or parabolics. You'd have to stay out there all night, all day, for weeks. We were just extremely lucky to catch some really good stuff with okay gear. And that's what brings me closer to the point of where I'm in between being that believer and knower, is everything that happened with this. The more I go over it, the more I watch it, the more I listen to these sounds, and you sit there and you're going, man, did this happen? Was that? It's so easy just to forget about it, and because those sounds are not in your dictionary of sounds that you already know in life, even if you're an outdoorsman, those sounds are not in your memory database. So that's why people just, they're walking along. Rah! I got to get to my stand. And then that's it. What is it? Really concentrate on it. Really start thinking about it. And the fact that we're chasing it down, and it happened is just, I'm going to say it. It's unbelievable. It really is. All right, everybody's saying good night, D.
Yeah, D's going to bed. Good night, D. We love you.
Amber, still going. Do you expect activity to pick up in cooler temps when y'all go back? It seemed to have an issue in North Louisiana. For some reason, it was still hot, but we had breeze and very little humidity, so it was decent.
Somebody asked this question too.
Go ahead, brother.
As far as someone asked about, do they migrate? I know in my particular area, they have specific areas that they use in specific seasons and times of year. Now, as far as activities in cooler weather, I'm working on a theory that, it's so hard to get a knock and during the hot months compared to what it is in the cool months. And I'm wondering if they don't know, growing up knocking and using these knock sounds, if they don't know that knocks carry more clearly in cold, dense air than they do in the warm air. And that's a theory of mine that I'm going to pay attention to. And they may, surely they did knock when we're down there. I heard one, but they're not as predominant in the hot months. So I have a theory on that. I'm working on it. As far as activities go, I think they are more active because they got to hunt more. They have to provide more calories for their metabolism to stay warm. It's just like my horse in the winter. He eats his tail off when it's, when a cold snap comes. So we're going to work on that.
Real quick, Brandon says, have you ever seen the Dog Man?
I don't think I've seen a Dog Man. Everything I've tracked has been pretty humanoid. I'm not sure what a Dog Man would look like. I hope I don't, honestly, I hope I do not ever come across one, because I got enough on my plate dealing with what I'm dealing with now.
Right. Robert D asked real quick, when we did the tape experiment there, did you get any hairs on the tape? We didn't find any. Nothing really hit the tape.
this goes back to the light collecting and light amplification, I think, almost of their eyes. They saw clear tape in pitch black.
Yeah.
That's how well they see it in the dark.
Especially if what we drew on, if it really was a creature, they were there.
Mm-hmm.
They would have had to have seen it. And of course, you know, do we really think they've survived this long and they're going to get trapped in some scotch tape? You know,
Well,
I think it's
a viable,
trying it, but
I think it's a viable research method. I hoped for more.
Yeah.
But I don't think I think if we'd been more inclusive as far as how we put it out and stretched it further,
right?
You know, I think I don't know if they'd have completely circumvented it or if they'd have just walked through it. But here's the thing. I still got some out there, especially across the corridor. How long is it going to take them to get tired of it being there? And they just grab it and wad it up and break it out of the way and leave something there. So when I go there next time, I can find it.
Yep. The next time we do go, will it be messed up, wadded up? They got angry with it. Look, guys, this is ongoing. The fact that this happened in an area that's, within 3 hours of Sci-Fi and I, we're definitely going to be going back. When we don't know, there's a lot of things going on. We got to bury my aunt. My son is getting ready to start wrestling and other things. I am hoping. Patrick and I kind of had loose-lipped, tentative talked for possible November trip, but that's wishful thinking. We're definitely going to be making more trips back to North Louisiana. To the CAD call, his CAD call plan, in which I dubbed it that, and back to our research areas as well. We'd like to, as much as we'd like to spend like serious time like we did on this expedition, I think next time we go to Mississippi, I won't be able to not go. I'm definitely going to check oil well for your tape if that's messed up. But we're also wanting to go check at least 3 to 4 of the other sites that I have marked, just to go put eyes on the ground and see what's there.
Hey,
like another recon mission.
How did you like just picking a spot out and going and tracking and finding tracks?
Yep. Patrick picked those spots, and then we both started picking spots, based off the criteria of what we thought their needs were. Who's cooking turkey? She's talking about.
Not me. I don't eat turkey no more.
All right, it's almost 10:30. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. If anyone has any additional questions or would like to chat, you can always go visit BigfootExplorer.com. Right here, you can take the survey or just go to the contact page of the website, and my email is there. It's sjowens@BigfootExplorer with an X, not an E.com. You can email me. And again, the quicker way to be able to get in touch with me is to go ahead and become a member of the Bigfoot Explorer group on Facebook. And that's with an X, not an E. And instant message me or just leave a post, and we can talk about these things.
Somebody said they saved 15% on their Geico. What?
Yeah, I saved 15% of my car insurance by switching to Geico. Mark Maycheck asked to join Bigfoot Explorer. All right, Mark. Thank you, brother. I'm gonna go ahead check you out. And let's see.
Yeah, we can probably
T. Ritter High School. This is a local boy, Mark Mechek. I'm going to approve you, my friend. Thank you. You've just been approved to Bigfoot Explorer.
We could probably do another discussion on this.
Oh, I know we can do another discussion. We can go into detail. I mean, we were a pinball game here tonight, hopping all over the place, and 2 hours went by like nothing.
But that's okay. Instantaneous is good. You don't want to be playing.
So let us know in the comments too if there's any particular session or site that you remember in the video that you want us to really elaborate on what was going through our minds, what happened here, because I know sometimes you watch the videos and you're like, well, what are they talking about? Leave us some comments. I read the comments. Patrick reads the comments. Sci-Fi reads the comments. Every one of them. So we're a smaller channel and we can still do that, and I'm kind of glad it's the way it is. Let's see. Great show. Thank you, Jamie, so much. Great show, Christy, Scott, and Patrick. Appreciate you for staying for as long as everybody did. 5 Hazel, thank you for that tip. I'm going to be going back and looking for the jumping possible Sasquatch issue.
That would be cool. That would be cool, fun.
Yeah, he told me about it. The brain doesn't think sometimes.
Cryptidville, that must be Mark. Mark, I'm sorry, brother. Tell me how to say it, man, and I'll do it right next time. Until then,
no, he said thanks for not butchering my last name.
Oh, I thought he said thanks for butchering it.
He said not. He probably said it right.
Good deal. Still crazy, Chris. Thank you, gal, for tuning in and staying with us. How's the weather up there in Missouri? It must be starting to get a little chilly.
He said you said it right.
Oh, okay, cool. Great show from Pam Mack. Of course, Robert D wants to know what you thought of Christy's tracking skills. Patrick?
She definitely has an attention to detail. There's still a little growing to do, but she can pick tracks out left and right. So
yeah. Ann Berg, good night, you guys. God bless you in your days to come. Thank you for that. We're gonna need it. It's not over yet. Let's see. Linda Taylor says, great show tonight. Let's see. We lost D and Booger a while back, didn't we?
Yeah, D had to go. She's probably going on live tonight. Who knows? With her.
Cryptid 559, if you're there, we've been thinking about drone. I have a drone ready and waiting. I've discussed this with Patrick in detail, and where we think the drone would come in handy are open areas that are particularly locked in by contiguous wooded areas. So like a larger river or creek with sandbars where we can get that thing up and scoop it down over the trees and just kind of scan. There's not too many places like that where we can get in there. It would be a different story if we had, I don't know, 50 grand and we could buy a DJI spreading wings or something like that with a thermal camera on it and run it at night. That might be something worth bringing on every one of them. But,
someone give us a credit card.
Yeah. That's going to be a while. Until then, we are boots on the ground. We've got an excellent tracker. We have an excellent sightseer here learning herself. And
we got a good techie guy.
A good techie documentarian woodsman.
And editing, putting stuff together.
So we're just going to keep on keeping on when we can do this.
Everybody's skills really shined on that trip.
That's what makes a team, Patrick. You know?
Yeah, I mean, just watching Scott do what he does best, what you do best, and I'm doing what I'm doing, and everybody's skill set came out so strongly in the video. It really
Yeah.
did.
We all worked good together because, you know, we were all wondering, you know, you take three people from wherever, you just throw them in the meat grinder, and what's going to happen. I was impressed with her composure at
Mm.
night, because I know my own composure when I'm there at night.
But you know what? You did really good because you walked out and started clacking them sticks in the darkness while me and Patrick was looking out this way.
Right, but you can't think what I'm thinking, though.
No, but I'm saying, you did good. You wandered off and did your thing.
I know, but it's that
Very impressive.
age-old thing. You almost got to have a little bit of a poker face to fool around with this stuff at night. And I'm not a good poker player, so you know I'm adjusting.
Oh, Cryptid, Cryptidville, you don't live here? He said, you guys are making me want to go back home.
It said D. Ritter on there. Do you not live in D. Ritter? Or maybe he's from D. Ritter and moved away. Hey, me tell you, man, we're not stopping. You know, we can't go every damn weekend, but you know, I'm not waiting until the spring to go back again. I just can't.
You can't put it down.
I was already talking to him. I'm not thinking, but thinking. I'm telling him, man, I got off for Thanksgiving. I think we can do it. And he's like, dude, it's Thanksgiving. I mean, your kids, blah blah. That's how. I mean, it starts getting a kind of addicting, and you start wanting to try different theories. I mean, you're wanting to do it. You're wanting to see what happens next. What will you find? What will we hear again? What new experiment, unorthodox, that we're going to use that might stir something that's never been stirred before down here in the South? That's what keeps me going now. I mean, I'm getting closer and closer. Each of us are on a different pathway, a different journey. And I just can't see waiting to the spring to do something like this again.
No.
I've got to get something done between November and December, you know.
Exactly.
I mean, even if we go back to Mississippi and do some recon scouting at best to those other 4 sites.
Hey, why don't you all go to Capitol and just build a fire and just sit there.
Yeah, he wanted to do that.
Just do that single knock like you were doing and just sit there.
Yeah, just try to repeat.
Because you broke the ice on this trip. You had them out 200 yards and 90 yards whooping at you going, how does he know how to communicate? You know, what's he doing? How does he know that we're here? He's not supposed to know we're here, you know? So if y'all wanted to go out, you know, just you two next month or next weekend or whatever, that's what I would do.
Yeah. Well, there's currently a burn ban statewide in Mississippi. So we'll have
to hang your lantern.
Yeah, lantern.
Lanterns or glow sticks.
Bruiser Bite says, Scott, what do your kids say? Or are they scared? Well, believe it or not, before I was into doing this seriously, I have no idea what the time frame finding Bigfoot was on. Was that around 2013, 2014, something like that, right? He was, let's see, like 6 years old. We loved it. And I had to watch it with him because he was scared. Like, you know, when you're watching the show Finding Bigfoot and they do the recreation of the encounter, and there's like a 3D model of the Sasquatch poured into the story, so it might pop up or it might walk. he would just be waiting for that part and just love it. He'd just be on my shoulder, hold my shoulder, waiting for it. And then it would happen. And then he'd look at me and smile. So we watched that every Sunday. Now the boy is 13 years old. He just started high school. And he doesn't say much. This is what I will say. Deep down, he's very intrigued. I have sat down and talked to him about Patrick and showed him some things from the North Louisiana encounter video, those massive 6 knocks. And then I showed him where that happened. I said, show me where the house is around there, where they're building. Show me this, show me that. It's like, Dad, that's all woods for miles. Exactly. So what makes something that loud, son? You think Yogi did it? It was Yogi and Boo Boo. He says, well, I see how y'all got something there, Dad. So, and then I showed him the tracks from this. I found the best one. And it was a toss-up between that real good one at Wade Capitol and the one I found down by the creek from the wells, like in the corridor down there. I said, what's that, dude? He looked at it and he goes, what is that? I said, well, it's not a bear, and it's not a dog, and it's not a coyote. I said, nobody's down in here barefooted in this stuff, bud. So that's where he's at. That's kind of where he's at, So I find that amusing. Jenna is 10, and she's like, my dad's one of these Bigfoot hunter guys, he thinks they're out there and stuff. and she smiled, but she drew me a picture of Bigfoot, and she has a personal sketchbook that she doesn't show anybody unless she wants to show you her sketches. And she goes, when I came back from the trip, because months ago I told her, said, you know what, it'd be kind of nice if you drew me a Bigfoot photo. Bigfoot drawing. Well, how or what do you want? I said, I don't want to know, and I don't want to tell you. I said, I want you to just come up with anything. Next show, I'll get it, and I'll show you what she drew me. I came back. She goes, I got a surprise, and she drew it. This one?
No, don't show it.
Okay. Well, that's it, fans. That is the show tonight. It is 10:40 at night on a Wednesday. I appreciate the people that stayed in here at one time. I think we had like 70 folks. Drop down to 43. Y'all are some troopers. Thanks. The Bigfoot Explorer subscriber fan base, or the subscriber base. Look, if I call you fans or guys,
friends,
it's don't take it literally. I'm a goofball and I just say stuff like that. Y'all know what I mean. So y'all aren't fans. I get that. But I've always said that kind of stuff. Hi, fans.
Friends.
Keeping it light. What's up, Patrick?
Well, I say it.
Yeah.
Peace out.
All right, I'll let you go, Patrick. Unless you want to stay on after live, yes or no, or you're gonna go.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I know you are. Thanks for staying up this late. Much appreciated.
No problem.
Everyone. So for myself, Scott, Sci-Fi, and Mr. Patrick Vaughn, we appreciate your time. Hope you enjoyed and learned something here. And remember, you know what? Be nice. You have no idea what people in this world are going through on a day-to-day basis. And with that said, we are out.